I would say that this was very hard to watch because I wasn't watching the Khamzat that I know.
Exactly.
And so it was hard for me to count every round and, and really analyze the fight because I was so shocked at, like, what's wrong with Khamzat.
If I spent all day sparring, drilling, all that stuff, and then I go and kill my body in the garage, and then I go do this and this and this, you're just breaking your body down. By the time you get to the fight, your body's been through hell for 8 to 10 weeks. And I think that used to be the norm, the thing you do back in the day. But now in 2026, there's way too much science. We have seen that less is more and more is less. And I think that's the one thing I saw when I was there and I would watch him train.
He trains with a guy called Sam Calavita, I believe, and he's a bit of a pioneer in terms of the way he trains athletes, and he's got a lot of experience and trains in Yorba Linda, California, and he has people go up to his garage and he's doing all kinds of crazy workouts and inventive and creative and different and, challenging and this and that and all the other. And I'm seeing a lot of videos on my Instagram feed of people heavily criticizing it. And I kind of fall and lean into the window of agreeing with them. Hard work is all it takes. You don't necessarily got to reinvent the wheel and stand on a wobble board doing squats while doing bloody dumbbell presses while, and all that type of shit.
And I honestly believe that he's overtrained. Training with Sam Calavita out of the garage, Cub Swanson said it. He goes, I have never won a fight training with Sam Calavita. That doesn't mean that he's not a great coach. It just means that you need to be able to dial him back. You need to be able to tell him that, hey, I'm overtrained. You need to know your body. I went through in my prime a lot of injuries from overtraining. Cain Velasquez, his whole career was derailed because I'm not overtraining. He was pushing himself so hard. Every single day was a hard round. Every single day was a hard wrestling session. When you do that to yourself, you need to give your body time to recover. I think Chimaev right now is probably overtraining. He's a stud inside the gym, but you can't leave the fight inside the gym. You've got to bring the fight into the cage.
So to watch Khamzat Chimaev in some dude's garage, and don't get me wrong, the dude's probably a S&C legend, sound man, great, brilliant. But he's training in his garage with fucking homemade cast iron weights and all that. And every time you're seeing him, Khamzat's exhausted. So he's training him every day to physical exhaustion to the point where he's nearly thrown up. And then that's like the MO. Oh, nearly made him sick today. Look at him now. He can't even. We've trained so hard today. He can't even stand up. That's not how you train. That is not how you get the best out of an athlete. It's fucking stupid. You've left it all in the gym then, you absolute bozo.
Yeah, I can see that being a problem if you're pushing too hard in the garage or strength and conditioning gym. If it affects your sport-specific training, your sparring the next day, your wrestling class, your jiu-jitsu class, if it affects that, then it's, cut the strength and conditioning.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it affects your fight training, then you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
But I do think if he wants to continue and if he wants to be champion again, I do think Khamzat Chimaev needs to find a coach that he meshes with, that he trusts, that he's going to leave that part of the game to him, that he's going to go out there. Because I know how important and how instrumental that is. I've had those coaches. I've had, shout out Henry Hoof, shout out Trevor Whitman, shout out George Santiago. I've had those coaches.
Look, I would love to work with Chimaev. I think we could turn things around in a big way. So I hope this message gets out to him. I really do. Because I want him and Arman Tsarukyan to come and train with me full time. And I will change the way they do things for the better.
I think whether this guy's at the garage or at LA Fitness or the greatest trainer, Mike Brown, is training him, that guy's always going to have those problems because he's not comfortable in the fight. I've seen it.
Exactly. That's exactly what it is, man.
I don't give a fuck what he does. Yeah. I don't care how many hyperbaric chambers he owns. He's always, if he can't take a guy down and immediately decimate him, he has to stand back up with a guy, or actually a guy that could always wrestle back into him. It's always going to be a nightmare. Like, Merab has a similar style, I would say, right? Merab is go, shoot. He has the most tiring style ever, but you can see how comfortable he's in there. So he doesn't have that tax on the gas because he's uncomfortable, you know? And that's a guy that has, I think, like the most daunting style. Like,
I trained with Frank Shamrock for a long time. This guy would kill himself, a fucking madman. Okay, but then 10 days out, literally like almost a full 2 weeks, 10 days out, he would stop doing almost everything. He'd wake up, he'd do like a 10-minute thing of cardio, then he'd go ahead and hit mitts later in the evening, and a little bit of rolling, grappling. Like literally everything was only about 10-15 minutes worth of work. Each group of each section of the workouts. Okay, that's it. And then he was done. His whole workout was 45 minutes. That was all. And it was broken up throughout the day. He let his body rest as he got there. And if you could look back at his career, he was just a fucking madman when it came to training. He was a madman at cardio back in the day. I think Chimaev needs to take a page out of that book.
I remember I used to push Longo's Cadillac, or Jaguar, and I'd push it back and forth, and in my head, nobody else is doing this. Like, this is, I'm in such great shape. But I think it probably was more placebo than anything. It was just something in my head that I was going to fight with, knowing nobody else is doing this, or whether it's a hill sprint or whatever it is, tough workout you put yourself through.
In the one video, you see Arman Sarukian coming in from some long ride on a triathlon bike. Now, I think biking and doing certain intervals and aerodyne and a lot of the stuff is good work to do, but I do think it should be more specific to MMA and the sport. I think he kind of has them overdo it.
Sometimes working too fucking hard doesn't pay off as well. You're better off taking 2 days off and just chilling, relaxing, filling the vibe, playing video games than just being in the gym twice a day, every day. So I think that paid dividends, and also the weight cut. They said he had a massive weight cut where he could have taken some of that off of like, hey, we're gonna focus on a diet, right? You're in great shape. But once again, this is me on the outside looking in. I only got to peek underneath the curtains for maybe a day, 2 days.
Khamzat's an incredible fitness. Okay, he has incredible fitness. He's a world-class athlete. He's a world-class wrestler. We're not trying to make excuses for the fight, but what explains somebody who's such a great wrestler have such a dip in energy? In my opinion, he's dehydrated. He couldn't rehydrate adequately. Why? Because the weight cut was too severe.
If he really gassed, bro, he's pushing a crazy pace on Strickland in round 3, 4, and 5. I saw Bilal Muhammad saying, damn, that weight cut must have been bad, because he lost round 2 and had bad positional moments in grappling and got held on bottom. He kept the same pace as Strickland in round 3, 4, and 5. He was the one moving forward. He was losing in round 3. He was losing in round 5, getting picked apart on the back foot. But he was the one pushing forward.
That makes a lot of sense as well. I'll tell you why. Because Khamzat in round 3 seemed to get re-energized. Now, he didn't rehydrate between round 2 and 3. You can't rehydrate in 1 minute by taking a couple of sips of water. So what happened? Well, I agree. I think adrenaline dump was also a major factor. I'll tell you why, okay? Because sometimes guys get so hyped up. They get so adrenalized. They get so excited that they burn out, and then they get like a second wind after they drop in energy and they come to. It's like you have a second wind, but we call that an adrenaline dump. You got so excited, and all of a sudden you went from feeling so energetic to I can't even move my legs.
It was that emotion. It was that dump. It was that up and down. And you saw Chimaev try to overcome that before the fight started. He tried to overcome that by coming over the top of the referee and doing a fist bump with Strickland. That was not real. So there's no question who the psychological deficit, who all that promotion and buildup, who that affected the most. There's no question. We have our answer. He's the guy that came over the top and offered his hand. But that, not the weight cut, that is what led to the exhaustion.
What I'm trying to get at here is I want to be an investigator. I want to be Sherlock Holmes. I want to know why a guy whose greatest strength, Chimaev, is to take you to the ground and you never get up, like he did with Duplessis. Why did he not do that? I thought there was something else here. He got booed badly in that Duplessis fight, where a lot of people, it took a little bit of the glow off of his shine, where a lot of people said, "Oh my God, that was boring." You know, who wants to watch that? You know, and I think he felt that. I think that he heard the boos, he felt the criticism. He's a very proud guy. They all are. These fighters are proud. I think that he wanted to prove that he could also strike.
We've all heard stories of Khamzat eating chocolate bars and doing this and not sticking to his diet, and all these stories have been going on for years, which is why he's missed weight in the past, which is why he's put in lackluster performances in the past, which is why, you know, he's saved by the fact it was only 3 rounds against Kamaru Usman, because he literally only had 5 minutes in his tank. And once again, he only had 5 minutes in his tank. 100% Sean Strickland maybe stops Khamzat on Saturday night. If he wasn't at less than 100%, maybe he would have. He ain't the guy. My attitude towards Chimaev has 180'd as quickly as gas tank.
But it's just interesting that a guy like Khamzat. So maybe the things that Strickland was saying about him before were kind of true. Like
Being a bully?
he needs to be the bully to maintain his level of comfort. Because when a guy stands up to him, it seems like he kind of falls apart.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's doing well. I mean, he lost the fight. It happens. You zig when you should have zagged. You make a mistake. Maybe it's related to his weight cut. I don't know. I'm sure if you look into his camp, what he has done, I'm sure you can identify the mistake that he has done. And you know, he needs to do that in order to improve. You know, to set back and look what he did that he thinks had a negative impact on his performance. You know what I mean? And once he identified that, make sure he doesn't do the same mistake again.